Good morning and welcome to today's SitRep, which is the 14th of October, 2022. How time is flying. For those who haven't been on here before, this is the situation report, SitRep. This is basically where I go through interesting little articles that I come across and have a yarn about it, have a chat, have a chin wag from the perspective of prepping. So thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it, whether you're on Instagram, on the YouTubes, or listening to this on the audio version on the podcast. Good morning to you. It's Steffo. And good morning to everyone. You don't have to write a comment, obviously. Just generally, good morning. Hope you're having a good one. Call me Hunter. Seen that picture I sent you? Yes, I did see that. And I will have a chat about that today. But first and foremost, what do we got going on in the world today? A lot of stuff today, a lot of maybe a little funny one to end off on, or a bit of a WTF Friday, which is getting people up in arms. I'm already hearing people out in the street talking about this one. So, you know, it's always an interesting one when that sort of controversy is coming out. Let's jump through some things today. Got sent a story by one of my sources through the interwebs, through Instagram, somebody who is over in the region of where all the bad stuff is happening at the moment, in and around sort of Ukraine area. Talking some interesting stuff. I'll just quickly touch on these points that there's some very interesting information coming out about this bridge attack and who was actually killed on it. Might have something. There was a judge that was actually reported that was killed on this bridge attack that has a lot to do with the daughter who was assassinated recently, the daughter of someone quite high up in the Russian political system, Kadyrov's daughter that was killed, and the judge was the one who was investigating what happened there. So dun, dun, dun. Interesting plot twist going on there. It's an absolute rabbit hole though, so I'm not going down it. I don't want to go down it this morning because it is like it is straight out of some sort of political thriller movie. You're like, what is actually happening here? This is Game of Thrones 2022 style. Good news is Australia's first phosphate export could ease fertilizer supply crisis. So this comes from ABC. I got this sent from the same person. Australia, I just thought this was really interesting one. For 60 years now, we found this phosphate rock that we're like, yeah, we're going to mine this in the 60s and haven't done it. And then last year, we actually started mining it. Last year, we started mining it, and significant thing about this is that we just put out the first shipment of it in the last week. So obviously there's a lot of talk around the world. When I'm talking about phosphate, by the way, for those who don't know, this is a key part of fertilizer. So the current fertilizers that we use throughout the world, phosphate's one of those key parts of it. And most times I get up here and go doom and gloom, like, here's more shutdowns of fertilizer exports. Here's more fertilizer running out. Here's another fertilizer plant that's gone up in flames. Well, this one's on the opposite end of the spectrum. This one's actually good news that Australia is pumping some of this stuff out. Just so people can kind of grasp where Australia is and where we sit. And my assessment, and why I keep saying things like, bad things are coming in the pipeline. Look, the world's in a looking like it's in a bit of a bad place. However, Australia actually looks like it's in probably a slightly better place than a lot of other parts in the world right now. And it's for these sort of reasons, that we've got resources, abundant resources, and especially when we think about per capita, per head in Australia, we're punching well above our weight. Like Australia, for example, iron ore. Okay, iron ore in Australia, we are the biggest producer of iron ore in the world by a long way. The next biggest three are China, India, and Brazil. And then I think the fourth is actually Russia. So you got BRIC, and then you got Australia sitting on it. And if you took those other three, so second, third, and fourth biggest producers, they would only just get over how much Australia produces. So like iron ore, for example, we're well placed for something like that. So we do have some advantages here in Australia, and I just wanted to highlight that one today. It's not all doom and gloom. This is also about food production. That's something that I always talk about a lot, our ability to produce food en masse and where that's actually going. And I'm going to talk about that. In fact, if you're watching this on YouTube, the title of it was something along the lines of meat made from CO2. And we're going to get to that story in a sec. But yeah, good news that we're pumping that out. To look at this, where are we? About 400,000 tonnes a year gets imported into Australia, or previously has been imported. This is a phosphate, and 600,000 tonnes into New Zealand. So between the two of us, we're looking, at a cool mill, tonnes of phosphate imported per year. So now we're actually digging it up and we're exporting it ourselves. So good news for Australia and New Zealand there. What else is happening in the world? Swedish food expert has come out and described the food transformation that we're going through. Quote, not all food will be available in the future. I read that quote and I'm like, this is disturbing. We're not going to have the abundance of food, the abundance of calories, the abundance of nutrition that we have had previously. And I often like to describe this situation that we're in as a world at the moment, that I kind of feel like I can't think of a time in history where human beings probably would have had access to the amount of calories and the amount of nutrition that a developed country does nowadays. So not across the board, by any stretch of the imagination, for humans on Earth right now, but certainly in developed countries, i.e. Australia, we do have extremely good access. I would even hazard a guess the average person, even a lower class person in Australia, would still have access to more calories and technically more nutrition than amongst the richest, going back 600, 700, 800 years in Europe. Anyway, I looked at that and I'm disturbed. I'm like, not all food will be available in the future. However, this person was actually saying it from a good perspective. And I read on and I'm like, they're saying it from the point of like, hey, it's going to be great. We're going to get alternative proteins such as insects, lab-grown meats, and new technologies such as producing proteins from carbon dioxide and water. Wow. Yes. Would you like a side of, carbon meat with your lab-grown liver? If this isn't like shocking you, if this doesn't give you some sort of visceral like disgust about it, I mean, the insects is probably the least worrying to me. Being somebody who has practiced survival techniques in the past, done courses and gone out and tried these things, I've eaten insects before. I actually don't find it that big of a deal. When they're talking about, hey, let's wholesale change our entire diet to insects, then I'm a bit like, no, like, it's a good thing in a pinch. It's something I wouldn't turn my nose up at, certainly, but I'm not going to do it on the daily. I'm not going to trade in my steak for crickets. But yeah, when we start to get into things like lab-grown meats, soy-based products, and carbon dioxide created meats, then I'm like, whew. So I went and actually looked up some. There's another story on this. Protein from CO2. So this is actually coming from a company called Air Protein. I went and looked up their website, Air Protein, and yeah, they're making all these claims like it's got all the amino acids. It apparently tastes just like meat. It looks just like meat. They've got air chicken. They've got air scallops. Other type things that they're developing right now. Other types of meat that they're developing right now, made from CO2. They're also saying that it is quicker and it is more ecologically feasible to do it this way. That's where I balk. I'm like, okay, yeah, all right. If you can create this within what you're saying 4 days to create what would create, I don't know, what are we talking, like 4 months maybe with chicken, 2 years maybe with beef. Okay, that's one thing. That's interesting. But how are you creating it? That's what I want to know. And how do you do your sums on what is most ecological? Is this the same sort of maths that goes into EVs and such sorts, where we go like, oh, it's great because they don't take petrol, so it's fine. Ignoring all the inputs that it takes to get there, ignoring how you actually power up that vehicle, where that electricity comes from. So I'm curious as to like where's your maths coming from? Please show your work, Air Protein. I would be very interested in seeing that. But hey, when it comes to all this, the veganist rhetoric, the insect eaters, and the apparently now carbon dioxide eaters, full power to you. At the end of the day, leaves more meat for me. So, yay. That's the theory, at least. So yeah, that one definitely jumped out at me this morning. I was like, whoa, what's going on, world? What is actually happening here? Okay, let's jump over to this story. Hang on, I'll come back to that one. Let's talk about Chinese police stations all over the world, because this has got people in a huff at the moment. So a story started to break about a few countries that were like, hey, we've got these little organizations, these little sort of shops being set up filled with Chinese people that are official, that are wearing uniforms, that is kind of police-like. And a few other countries came out and said, yeah, us too, actually. So Ireland and Spain have initiated investigations into this. New York City has come out and said, yeah, we've got it as well. And now proliferation has actually come out, and there's a lot of countries in the world. I saw a number that said up to 50 Western countries in the world at the moment have these Chinese Ministry of Public Security office, like an office space, and officers, like individual people who are uniformed, that are apparently keeping an eye on expats, so Chinese expats. And even there has been an allegation that they have been repatriating them, whether that is through gentler means or coercion or forcing. None of that's come out yet. To be blatantly obvious, like, I'm only just seeing this come out now in the past 24 hours, and the information that I'm seeing is very disparate at this stage. I think there's a lot of allegations. There's a lot of, ideas that are being thrown out there by people, and I'm not seeing a lot of solid evidence. I even saw one got sent to me from Commie Hunter this morning, that there may even be one in Australia. But interesting stuff. And there were some other statistics that came out of here, out of this, like allegedly 230,000 Chinese nationals have been persuaded to return to the mainland. That's from the period of April 2021 to July 2022. Are they calling all their cattle home? I wonder what's going on here. Anyway, interesting story, and one that I think we should keep our eye on, the reach of China. In some ways, if this is actually happening, if this does turn out to be true, I don't actually find it that surprising. It kind of fits the modus operandi for what China would do, being that they are relatively authoritarian and relatively controlling of their people. So, yeah, there's that. NATO is to proceed with planned nuclear exercises next week. What a great time to do it, honestly. This has been talked about a little bit. You may have heard of this one before. NATO had planned to do these nuclear exercises, and who knows what they're going to do with these nuclear exercises, what exactly it entails. But again, this is yet another sign that I see where I'm always looking at these things. I'm going, well, what do they say and what do they do? I.e., in the past 24 hours, this is just an example, right? Macron from France came out and said, look, we want peace in Ukraine. This is what we want, and we will do everything we can to come to a peaceful resolution here. We need to get back to the table. So, great words, beautiful words. At the same time, physically sending instruments of war into Ukraine, physically sending air defenses into Ukraine. So, on one side saying, yes, we want peace, and let's start talking about peace talks. Also, here's some weapons, Ukraine, keep fighting the fight. So what are they actually doing versus what are they saying? NATO quite often is coming out and saying like, yeah, we've got to try and have some sort of peaceful resolution. We need to, make sure that this doesn't go too crazy, that, we can't have nuclear war. Meanwhile, let's actually start gearing up for nuclear war. Let's do all the things we need to do to practice nuclear war. Is there another way they could do this is what I'm curious about. This is obviously getting people on edge. This is obviously increasing the threat level within this area and increasing the likelihood that nuclear exchange could happen. We see this in a number of stories too of what's actually happening. So this is another one that's sent to me. Finns, people of Finland, rush to get iodine tablets following ministry recommendations. So there was a run on iodine tablets. Their Ministry of Defense, I think it came out. Who actually put this? The ministry. That's not helpful. Tell me which ministry is saying this. Health Ministry. Health Ministry came out and said, yo, you might want to just hold on, go and grab some iodine tablets. This is on top of many countries in this area that have been doing this. And I've got first-hand reports of this as well. Not in any like massive official thing like governments coming out going, here's iodine tablets, we're releasing them, but different countries doing different responses, but essentially around this sort of same thing. Hey, you need to be preparing yourself for the possibility of radiation. Okay, so Health Ministry in Finland's come out and said, if you've got adults in your household, you need, Ministry recommends households with members aged between 3 and 40, firstly to stay inside, but also acquire iodine tablets as a secondary precaution. So that's obviously created a bit of a run on it, people going out and buying this sort of stuff. Scary in and of itself, yes, I get that. A lot of people stocking up on things that for a potential nuclear war. We've got other issues in this theater as well, not just nuclear weapons, but also things like the power apparently has been cut off to Zaporozhia. I need to find the pronunciation for that. If anyone knows it, please let me know. The huge power plant that is at the moment, depending on who you listen to, under the control of the Russians. Power has been cut to it. The thing about a nuclear power plant is they require power in order to cool them a lot of the time. So when power's cut, that's kind of leading to a dangerous situation where you could have some sort of issues with the reactor there. So that's another issue that you've got to think about with radioactivity here in this area. When I'm saying, like, depending on who you listen to, Russians are either in control of it, or I've seen other reports from the Western side saying the Ukrainian, they're very specific in saying this, the Ukrainian power plant, which is surrounded by Russians at the moment. Just, it's worthwhile reading these stories and seeing what people say about it, because you're like, what are they trying to tell us here? Okay. What else we got here? Oh, sorry. Yes, on the iodine stuff. The other interesting thing that I read on this is, this is another thing where we see a rush. Like, oh, here's an issue, something going on, and people go, wow, quick, let's go buy it. I would imagine iodine would have rushed off the shelves. I would have imagined that people would have missed out on this. I haven't seen that in any reports, but this is what I can kind of think about what would happen. And the person who actually sent this to me did preface it like that. So these sorts of runs on things when we have some sort of emergency pop up, very, very common. And it's something that I want us all to think about. And especially if, us as more preparedness minded people, these are the sorts of things that we want to avoid. I made a joke during one of the courses that I was teaching in this last week, where I said to people, I'm doing this. I build bags and things like that for different things that I'm doing. I am a bit of a prepper, if you will, but, and someone said, oh, so you were one of the people who were taking up the toilet paper. And I was like, no, I wasn't actually, because I don't know what you're not getting about this. I was the prepared person. I didn't need to go to the supermarket to get anything when people were freaking out when COVID hit, because I had everything. Yes, and toilet paper was one of those things. Everything that I use within my house, I make sure that I have multiples of, that I have backups of, so that if I do have to shut my door for 3 weeks, I don't have to freak out. That's what preparedness means, not the person who freaks out. It's the unprepared person who freaks out and gets themselves caught in situations like that. It was bemusing to me that somebody thought that they linked the word prepper to somebody rushing to a supermarket to buy toilet paper. And I'm like, that's the antithesis of a prepper. What we're trying to create in our lives here, and what I'm trying to promote with channels like this, is that we're not that person. We're not the one freaking out. We are the calm, we are the confident people. We're the people, and this is what I was actually doing at that time, we're the people that others go, oh shit, there's no toilet paper on the shelves. Can somebody help me? I was the person who went, yes, I can. I'll drop some toilet paper around to your house if that's really what you need. And I did that with people. So that's the goal of prepping. And that's really what I want to point out with that story there, that these sorts of runs, when government is putting out information like this, it's too late. It's already too late. When the storm is smashing in and taking out power, it's already too late. You can't go pull money out of the ATM then. When fuel gets cut off for some reason, it's already too late. You need these things in your house. You need to take control of these things now and have some on hand. Peter Rouse says iodine stores well, 20 plus years. Great news. I was actually listening to someone the other day, and they said 7 plus years. They also alluded that it would last much longer, and that's what I have heard, that if you store iodine in the correct, like iodine tablets in the correct way, that they will last out over 10 years. So this is something that you can go and buy now, and you can hold on to and have it there. But even if you're thinking about if you're the kind of person who's maybe more health conscious, and you're thinking about supplements and maybe detox protocols and things like that, iodine might be in your sphere anyway. You might want to have that along with other things as well. But that's certainly something I'm not going to talk about that today. I'm no expert on that. So it is things that I experiment with and that I do. And so I do have some of these things on hand. However, like caveat again, what do I think the likelihood of radiation affecting Australia or New Zealand is? Low. Well, in comparison to Ukraine, a lot lower, obviously, but it's relatively low. Yeah, Peter Rouse says I use iodine daily anyway. So there you go. These are the sorts of things. Like there is actually reason to have iodine. Probably not like the potassium iodine that you're going to be buying in tablets. There's other forms of it that you might want to research and look into. But there are reasons to have it outside of radioactivity. Good thyroid health. Chris Fleming says, I'm in. Awesome. I don't know what you're in, but excellent. All right, last little story that I want to talk about. This is the What the Fuck Friday story, where I'm a bit like, what's going on, world? Cancel culture is apparently attacking emojis now. There's a list of, what are we at, 9? 10 emojis that are on the hit list that they want gone, eradicated. Get rid of these emojis because they are seen as passive-aggressive or outright insulting. How dare you? You offend me with your use of emojis. So, what are these offensive emojis? Are they middle fingers? Are they stabbing symbols? Are they something overtly aggressive? The number one, thumbs up. How offensive. How very dare you, sir? Thumbs up me indeed. Do you bite your thumb at me, sir? Don't thumb your nose at me. A thumbs up. How offensive is this? At what point do we say to people, look, I get that you have a problem with this, but let's analyze that sentence for a bit. You have the problem. It's your fucking problem, buddy. Sort it out. Sort your own shit out. At what point, when somebody says, I take offense of that, you go, yes, you are literally taking the offense. That's you taking it. You can choose to not take it either if you want. You can choose to take this as a thumbs up. Emails and text messages I always find problematic because we don't have a way to put any intonation in it. We don't have a way to put any inference in it. The inference is with the reader. The reader puts everything on it. All they are pure words on a screen. That's it. You make up everything else. And if you know the writer very well, if you know the author of those words, then you might be able to start to infer things to it. I've often said maybe we should have like a color system for our texts and our emails. Red means I'm angry. Blue means sarcastic. Pink means I'm saying this in a very soft, gentle way. Just to start to really lay it out to people. Why would you automatically assume that something is offensive? Why can't we as human beings look at words and go, all right, I'm going to either assume neutrality in these words or assume what the best possible case would be for it. That when somebody sends me a thumbs up, I assume it means a thumbs up, an agreement. I don't like this because I thumbs up everything. If you've ever sent me a text, there's a high chance you got a thumbs up reply from me. And I'm not being an asshole. I'm just literally going like, cool, awesome, thank you. Like, appreciate it. A red heart was the next one. The okay hand after that. Check mark was number 4. Poo was number 5. Loud crying face, monkey covering eyes, clapping hands, lipstick kiss mark, and a grimacing face. Oh, that one. That's like probably my second most used. I'd say thumbs up, red heart, and then grimacing face is my most used emojis. Instagram took away the 100% instant reaction emoji on stories. Why? Why? Anyway, part of me putting out these sort of sit reps is to look at the world and wonder and get us all to question these sorts of things, like I am. That's what I would like. If somebody can fill me in, like, please do. It's a situation report. What's going on in the world? It's me looking at the world. This is just one dude's opinion, by the way. Me looking at the world going like, what is happening? What? Why? What's going on? Can somebody help me out, please? I'm not smart enough to figure this out by myself. You would probably see red in most cases of writing. Kind of like caps mean that you are yelling. Yeah, that's a good part. That was Grim Kartsy, by the way, on YouTube. I was going through some comments on YouTube on some older videos of mine, and people can be brutal, like brutal on YouTube, but good on them. I will definitely see a lot of red, I think, on the YouTube comments about my videos, but that's okay. I'm as lost as you are on this one. It says Ganekreen. Caps also on live feeds means to the attention of the presenter. Yes, I have seen that one quite a lot, actually. And quite a lot of people ask that, like, hey, if you're asking a question, put it in all caps. Which is a good idea. Yes. Where are we going? Where are we heading? I don't know. Anyway, that's my little rant for today. I will put this out there to you guys. If any of you would like to send me emojis with a thumbs up, a heart, a grimace face, a monkey face, a poo, even the okay hand, then that is fine by me. Please feel free to do that. I will not curtail your expression of speech at all. That's my little promise to you. All right. Well, I'm going to leave it there because I've got to go do some stuff and some things today. I hope you're going well. Wait. Peter Rouse says no mention of Turkstream. And no, there is no mention of Turkstream today, Peter Rouse. Let me look into that one a little more. If you have something that you want to mention about it, do it now. Go. Janufi says, I ain't changing for no one. I'll choose whatever emojis I like. Yes. The unfortunate thing is that if people started to actually, like, if this started to grab traction, then the ability to even use those emojis gets taken off us. This is a small thing, right? But this is actually a microcosm of a larger thing that's actually happening here, the curtailing of free speech, which I get that people don't agree with me all the time. Newsflash, I'm not correct all the time. There are large swathes of time where I'm incorrect. There are huge concepts that I'm incorrect on. And when I figure that out, I usually come back around to what might be correct. But I will say this. Even if I disagree with someone, I still appreciate the fact that they're allowed to say what they're saying. And I would also appreciate the fact that that you allow me to say what I want to say. I think the curtailing of information in any way is problematic. I can see why people would do it. I can see the good reasons why we might want to do it. But I think, like, that's one of those things where the path to hell is paved with good intentions, that it leads to a bad place when we start to curtail people's ability to speak their mind, to express themselves how they want to, even if that expression happens to be totally asinine, happens to be totally foolish. I look at a lot of people in the world and go, what you're saying, I think, is utterly stupid. Most of it's on the news. Most of it's coming from politicians' mouths. But I don't want to stop them from saying it. I don't want to go like, no, you cannot say this. The only thing I want to stop people from saying is when people say that you can't say something. Yeah. All right. That's it. Oh, yeah. Kerry said, like when PayPal attempted to curtail our free speech. And apparently they're still going down it. They backpedaled, but apparently they're still going to put that in there. So I've been a bit busy, but what I'm going to actually probably do right now is get rid of my PayPal account, because I read that and I'm like, nope, nah. All right. I would pay another organization more than I would pay PayPal. Not that you pay PayPal, it's usually the vendor who pays PayPal, but I would go and pay another vendor more money just so I'm not using PayPal now because of that. And I would really like for PayPal to be punished for this. And the best way we can punish someone is to stop using their services if they money-making device. Yes, close your accounts like I did, says Kerry, and I couldn't agree more. Sajila Wood, thanks for your time. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Ozfarm Moving says thanks. And let them know why, says Kerry. I agree. Peter Rao says strike or parallel economy. Grim Kartsy says another reason to buy locally only. I'm a massive proponent of that. We need to start bringing our stuff closer to our homes as much as possible. Bring it back down to the local. Know the people that you're buying off where you can. Right, gang. I'm going to kick this one to the touch now. Thank you very much for joining me. Your time is muchly appreciated. Hopefully there's something in what I say that helps inspire you and helps you go out into the world and do these sorts of things, become a more self-reliant human being, to bring these systems back in closer to ourselves. If you hadn't planned it today, then start thinking about things to work on yourself today. Maybe find a couple of minutes to sit in quiet contemplation, to calm yourself and center yourself. Maybe find a couple of minutes or maybe a couple more to work out physically and start to improve your physical capabilities. Maybe go and plant some food. Maybe go and buy an extra can of whatever it is that you normally use today. But whatever it is, help make yourself more prepared, help make other people more prepared around you, because that's what it's all about, is getting ourselves ready for no matter what comes down, even if nothing comes down. All right, thanks, gang. Thanks heaps again for joining me. Really appreciate it. Stay safe out there. Keep prepping. And until next time, Semper Paratus.